10,000 by 1990 and 5,000 by 2000. We have increased the requirement, we have increased the services manifold, but still we kept this as a standard rather than this target, which could have been reduced. Still, as on date, we have got around like 13 to 15,000 cattle heads per veterinarian if we have got the calculations in the right way. Probably this can be increased if we consider the people involved in policy, people involved in administration, people involved in teaching, research, industry. So the people directly related to the services per cattle head or maybe per number of cattle heads. So this number might have increased a bit from 13,000 to maybe 15,000 or something. Our focus is to provide more and more number to improve upon the quality. Similarly, we want to come up into refreshing these people through the continuum veterinary education system. Fourth thing we are talking about is generating skills in the para-veterinary services. And it's not para-professional. Generally, it is considered that you go for one para-professional. We are in a thought process where we are thinking about different kind of services you want in the field. So can you improve upon similar skills, a set of skills in a particular set of people, going about it respectively, like you have got animal clinical assistants, you have got pharmacy assistants, you have got AI workers, you can have other kind of nursing kind of systems. So all these different requirements, even laboratory assistants for that matter, they'll also be paraprofessional. So they'll be trained differently than the field assistant. So we want to generate that kind of manpower. Third manpower, which is kind of extension and supporting worker, is the main human capital which is already available with different systems like Panchayati Raj. So we have got an MOU with the Ministry of Rural Development, where these Pashu Sakhis available in lakhs throughout the country. They'll be trained, all their skills will be enhanced in a particular manner, and then they can be utilized directly for the dissemination of our schemes, plus the kind of services they can provide, maybe kind of information or something. We want to utilize the support of KVKs in that. We want to utilize the services from these common service centers, CSCs. So all these things we are talking about how we can utilize the available human capital for upgrading the needs and requirements of the livestock sector. So this is how we are planning, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. I'm sure that information would be very useful. Minister made a very valid statement with respect to strong need for taking up a very intensive breed improvement programs. And because at the end of the day, it is to be accepted that while we are huge in numbers, huge in quantity, we are very, very low as far as the quality and the productivity of our livestock population is concerned. So I'll request Dr. Tripathi to please throw some light as to what are the policies and the strategies for breed improvement, and what kind of programs the ICAR has taken up. And more importantly, how do you ensure that your successful breed improvement programs and the successful experiments are actually translated in terms of availability of those breeds to the livestock farmer? Dr. Tripathi.
Thank you for this opportunity. Now in ICAR, we have been doing a breed improvement program for the last more than 6 decades, and we have been running All India Coordinated Research Project on cattle, buffalo, sheep, goat, pig, poultry, and even we have some mega seed program for poultry and pigs. Now, as far as cattle is concerned, in the beginning, or I would like to say that before 2000, we have been encouraging crossbreeding program. So therefore, we have developed certain crossbreeds, and the best among that of Vrindavani, that has been developed by IVRI. And then we had developed a freeze wall that is developed by our Central Institute for Research on Cattle. And these two breeds, they reach almost maximum to 7,000 milk. And now they are stabilized breed. So that is the one that can be further multiplied in the field with the help of Government of India. Then we have another breed at the Karnal Center, Karan Fries and Karan Swiss. They also have got a very good regard, and in those areas in Karnal, Haryana area, a lot of crossbred are now being taken by the farmers. But the only issue is that how we can further multiply it, how it can go to the farmers. And perhaps we are trying to, and working with Mandi Ministry, that these breeds, at least freeze wall, we should start with, because we have not stopped crossbreeding program. Crossbreeding program is still going on in the country, and we cannot dispense with also, because almost 27% of milk is coming from crossbreds. But there is a lot of indiscriminate breeding. We recommend maybe around 5/8 blood of exotic and 3/8 blood of our indigenous cattle, and that is the one that has really giving very good result with regard to production, with regard to disease resistance. But in the cross breeding, they are being done indiscriminately. We do not know that how much exotic blood is there, and as a result, we are also getting a lot of problems also in crossbreds. So many reproductive problems are coming up. So this I think this should be taken by the Government of India, that whatever breed that we have developed, and we have got a very good record, they are stabilized, and it can be further multiplied and proliferated. Now second thing is that when we come to buffalo, and we have now we have started improvement of our indigenous cattle, Sahiwal and then Gir also, and Tharpakar and Kankresh. We have taken 4 breeds, and for last maybe around 15 years we have been working on it, and we have found that all these 3-4 breeds, they have improved from 21 to I think around 30% milk production as far as our network program is concerned. And through this program also we are giving semen to farmers also. We are also selling our bulls to farmers also, and this way this indigenous breed is now also getting further multiplied in the field, taken by the farmers. But our improvement program with indigenous cattle is not very old. It is hardly, I would say it is less than 20 years. When we come to buffalo, again we have been running this program for almost 30 years, and now we have reached to our productivity on average around 2,000 kg. Earlier we started from around 1,400 in buffalo, but now we have reached to 2,000. And this program, especially Murrah buffalo and also Nili Ravi, is doing very well in the field also. And a lot of this male buffalo, Murrah bull, we are also distributing to farmers. And this is going to farmers also in different areas, different states also. And even I will tell you that this improvement has been around 30%. At our farm, at our different location at center, maybe at Kadwasu and also in south. So this way we are working on the improvement of buffalo. Then coming to the sheep and goat, we also have been running on AICRP for last several, maybe around more than 4 decades, and almost 35 to 40% improvement bid in sheep and goats we are covering in the country. And a lot of improvement in the body weight, lot of improvement with regard to fecundity, we are gaining from sheep and goat also. Similarly, we are running program for pigs also, and as many as we have developed 9 crossbreed variety from indigenous and exotic breeds. And we would like to glad to know here that when we started this program, our cross variety development program in pigs, our indigenous pigs that gives almost 4 to 5 liter size is 4 to 5, and body weight at 8 months of age is hardly around 40 to 50 kg. But when we wait for this cross variety, now it has almost double, and it's the 8-month body weight something like 75 to 90 kg, and litter size also 8 to 10. So almost double benefit, and this has really increased a lot of farmers' income in northeastern region. And in all regions, since we have developed this crossbreed varieties through our AICRP, so these are nine crossbred variety are picked. They are in different regions of the country. It means south also, in north also, in east also, and west also. So that was a wonderful development that we have done. When we come to poultry, poultry also, our contribution to backyard poultry production has been tremendous. And this can also, the impact is that during 2012 livestock census, over that we have developed almost increased 45%. And commercial poultry production, they have increased from the last census only around 4%. So the total, total poultry increased population has around 16%. And the role of backyard poultry is now great in this country. And we have developed several cross variety breeds where we are trying to reach, and we have reached 200 eggs per year. So that tremendous achievement. And also in the synthetic breed, we get almost 312, 315 eggs per year from poultry. But from our improved variety, we are getting almost touching 280 to 200. And also it is also disease resistant also, and it can be a backyard type also. So there is no problem with the farmers rearing as a backyard poultry. So this was what that ICR has been doing as far as breed improvement program is concerned for all these species. Now, how it can go to the larger scale, at up scale, how we can upscale it. Now, upscaling depends on you, and man sitting behind me.
You do have to talk to each other.
Yeah, we are talking. I think they are helping it also, all these programs, and perhaps government will help it. Just now, our Atulji was saying that we can also, because we have been also. I forgot to tell you about Avishan sheep. We have developed at least 4 crossbred sheep variety. And the recent development was tremendous in the form of Avishan. Avishan we have gone to fecundity rate of 1.7. So from earlier we are getting from 100 sheep we are getting 100, now we are getting almost 170 lambs. So that is the one thing that really you need to be further multiplied in the field. And we are trying, and the different governments are also very much interested to take this breed. But our problem is that we don't have that much infrastructure to really supply to different states. But here, government again can come to our rescue, and this is one breed that a nationwide program can also be run with this sheep, Avishan sheep breed. So with this, I think, thank you very much. Whatever.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi. So one take home from what you said is that you and Dr. Malik need to talk more often and sit together, because your research can go there only if
they have
so
to take
it is research and development, and he is the and between the research and development. Without his and, probably they won't meet. Thank you so much. Dr. Rahman, now you see we're seeing growing concern for zoonotic diseases, and now FAO and OIE both are talking in terms of global burden of animal diseases. And not only does it lead to a burden of human diseases, it also threatens food and nutritional security. And basically, you see, avian influenza, it shook the world, but the way COVID-19 has shaken the world, it's just shaken the entire fabric of society. Now again, the cause is a pathogen of zoonotic origin. And with the pathogens are moving much faster than we people are moving. We still need visas to travel from one place to another. Pathogens don't need. So what kind of collaboration do you suggest and could be institutionalized in, if not globally, at least the South Asian region, so that the countries in the South Asian region collaborate and exchange the latest discovery of the latest emerging pathogens, emerging viruses, how to deal with them, and exchange the research and development programs. Could you suggest that if we could move forward in terms of institutionalizing some kind of a governance structure for South Asia to manage animal health?
Thank you very much, sir. Honorable Chair, distinguished panelists, and participants from various parts of the country, and my own colleague, Dr. Dieter Sillinger, he is also here, and he has already spoken how we can collaborating with the organizations. First of all, my happy World Zoonosis Day to you, and sir has given responsibility zoonotic diseases. As you know, the zoonotic disease is very, very important, and he has already mentioned that disease has no boundary. They don't require any passport to come to India or other places. About 65% diseases are of animal origin, and 75% of emerging zoonoses are also from animal origin, and it will be very important to know that 85% of the pathogens used as a bioterrorism, they are also from the animal origin. This is the importance of zoonotic diseases. Sir, for your information, how we are working in India, I'll come to that later on, sir, but for your information, that India has given permission to work by the government of India through RBI has given the permission to establish our branch office in New Delhi. And ILRI is working in India from 2004. And we have worked with many national and international organizations, ICR institutes, as I was former DDG Animal Science. So I developed many links for the institutions. And sir, another thing we cannot take our own program. The government of India will tell us the priority of the India, and if the ILRI or other CG center have their own that means expertise on that type of projects we are taking. Sir, you are very correct, sir, because first we have taken a decision that ILRI will work with ICR, and particularly, as you mentioned, that in the South Asia region, we have initiated on program preparedness for emerging and other diseases, and the control measure, how can prevent it among the different countries of the region. For that, we have already working with the ICR, NAS, ILRI, and SARC. We got huge response from the different countries, and we conduct a online program. And in that, all the SARC country, their chief veterinary officers, secretaries, and they all participated. Dr. Malik was also there. We got the presentation, what they want from ILRI and SARC nation. Then, sir, we have decided that we have to take some priority to identify the areas, because as you know that India is having international border with 6 countries, particularly those are from the Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar. Virtually there is no border crossing, and many people are going, animals are transported. In that way, there are many diseases are also coming to India. For example, PRRS in 2014, and again in 2020, we got the disease from Tibet to Arunachal Pradesh, and that is ASF. So for your information, day after tomorrow, we are organizing a regional workshop to discuss how to contain the disease and to control the infection, particularly northeastern region, because the maximum number of pig populations are in the northeastern region. All the 8 states, they are participating, and very unfortunate that Secretary Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying could not attend, but Malik and his team will definitely attend, and will make a policy how it can be contributed so that disease is not transmitted to other states. In that way, of course, that 2 diseases are non-zoonotic disease, but it is very important because the highly pathogenic and dreaded disease of pigs, and about huge number of pigs already been culled, and poor farmers, particularly those are the tribal people, they are keeping the pigs, they are suffered a lot. And for that, sir, we don't have any vaccine till now, but USDA has already developed a vaccine, and it is a attenuated vaccine, and it has been commercialized in Vietnam. And after discussion with the DG ICR, and our DDG is sitting here, we also want that India should take part in producing this vaccine, because India is the largest vaccine producer, so that it can be produced. And also we've given, and the ministers sir already mentioned, that India is the giver. We can produce, we can give to our neighboring countries, and we can protect our animals. Another thing, sir, we have already taken up, there should be a vaccine bank for the South Asian countries, and so that at least 4 countries, India, Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan, we have these territorial boundaries, and both sides the vaccine should be provided, so that the animals coming here, there, this side, at least been protected with that. In that way, sir, we are also earlier having some project on zoonotic diseases, brucellosis, leptospirosis with ICAR supported organisms. That after that, we have that project also, of course, completed. We found that because I was director at Nivedi, Bangalore, that time we had a very big, still that surveillance program is going on, that we could found that throughout the country, the brucellosis is very important zoonotic disease, and it is mostly, it is incidences like that it was about 12% in...
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dr. Rahman, I'll have to stop you there, because the clock is ticking much faster than we are thinking and speaking.
Sir, thank you. This is very
I'm glad you mentioned some very specific points which, with respect to what you're doing and what could be done. And one thing which has emerged is, and this is for Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Malik to note down, that India will have to take lead in whatever program is launched in terms of regional collaboration. And you, in the end, you mentioned, I stopped you when you mentioned that you need a very strong surveillance program.
Yeah.
So I'll request Dr. VP Singh to throw some light on the surveillance program. Especially, I would like you to just, if you could just enlighten us and guide us as to whether we have any organized program with respect to veterinary public health. In the entire health sector, the global focus is on public health, preventive health. And the OIE and FAO and WHO have all agreed upon a definition of veterinary public health, which is primarily concerned with promotion of human health and prevention of human diseases. So, and veterinary health, that way, veterinary public health, that way becomes a very multidisciplinary kind of this thing.
We have a subject.
So let Dr. VP Singh explain as to what is happening. Because why I've asked this question was because before Mr. Chaturvedi, I was secretary of the department. At that time, probably I never heard of it or not bothered about it. Dr. VP Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I concerned about what are coming in the surveillance systems or the other things are there, I think basic problems are there. The organized surveillance system is there in our country, is there, particularly only if you see the zoonotic diseases, only the avian influenza. But there is a need of this one, because if you see the things are there that from the last few years, there's at least 2 exotic diseases. Lumpy skin disease and African swine fever is entering in our country, is there. And so every time we say the things are there, that's the surveillance system is there. If we know the things are there, that institute, as I mentioned in the morning, in the earlier session, is our DDG animal science. Okay. At least the ICR is has the preparedness and do the testing about more than 30 diseases. By their ICR Nishad Bhopal and NRC Equine is there. So particularly they did the jobs are there, but about the export and import of the livestock and livestock products. But question arising how these other diseases entering in our country is that I think the porous borders are there. And that's the question arising how the surveillance system is very strong in our country. As you ask, the things are there, only the avian influenza is there, there is organized national action plan is there, did the jobs are there, but still there is need of more stringent that surveillance plan. Because that surveillance plan is dependent mostly the state departments are there. And on the State Department, the question arises, how much sample we are receiving and what the quality of the samples are there. I think on that basis, if you think over on that one, the other important diseases are there. General surveillance plans, so we can know the things are there, what the new diseases entering in our country, what are the chances are there. And second very important things are there, particularly I am talking the poultry sectors. The private sector should take the involvement in this one and take the interest. Because if you see the things are there in the whole scenario, if you what the surveillance system in our country is there, I think anywhere there is no private sector industry is involving and providing the things are there. If all the three, central governments, state governments, ICAR, ICR, and the private sector will involve, and that's where things are there. And that is the very stringent surveillance system will come out. I think either the zoonotic diseases or the new diseases will come in. ESF is not a zoonotic disease there. But if you see the things are that the whole of the Northeast is a great loss of the country is there, particularly in the concern, the piggery sector is there. So I think on these issues, we should think over and make a policy matters on that one. And that will be helpful for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. V.P. Singh. That was... Okay, I'll just start. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Tripathi wants to add something to that.
We have a very exhaustive program on surveillance system in the country. We have got one institute, Nivedi, that you know in Bangalore. So they are doing it. They have got ADMAS. There is one CRP and ADMAS, and there are almost 30 centers around. So in all the diseases, we have a very good surveillance mechanism for that. The problem is that with Dr. V.P. Singh saying about our porous border, there our surveillance should be more accurate. And
Dr. Tripathi, my point was, you see, I was a OIE delegate.
Yeah.
So I used to cite the reports to OIE with respect to the disease status used to go under my signatures.
Yeah.
Still I'm asking this question because you see, we have a surveillance system, but how robust and how strong it is in terms of timely detection and timely response.
Yeah.
That is very critical.
I mean,
you see, I'll just give you a small example of my experience. You see, sorry, post-retirement wisdom dawns much faster than it does when you are in service. When you see, you read a news item that some lions in Hyderabad Zoo contracted or had symptoms of COVID-19, and a few died.
Yeah.
So I started doing some research and some studies, and I found that one German institute had done the experiment on cows. And they infected 6 cows with this latest variant of this virus. And 2 or 3 of them actually got infected. And then came the news that the domestic pets are quite susceptible to this virus. Now, it is not zoonotic, it is anthroponotic. It is human beings giving disease to the animal. So I just raised this question. God forbid, we transmit our virus to the cattle. Considering the population of India and our programs, are we prepared to handle it? Then next day the news came, I was surprised that Russia had started the program of vaccinating all its dogs. And then it started. So what I mean to say is, do we have this level of surveillance, or are we even moving towards that? Okay, I think I will just move ahead. Dr. Sahu, the Honorable Minister made a very important point in the terms of our entire focus being only on cattle and buffalo. You see, like our society is plagued by this caste hierarchy, within the animal husbandry sector also we have a hierarchy. Dr. Malik's 90% of his time goes on cattle and buffalo, and the rest of the 10%, 7 to 8% on poultry because of this huge economy, and then probably once in blue moon, sheep, goat, camel, pigs, and horses. Now, I think Dr. Sahu will be the right person to tell us with respect to, well, the livestock, what is our livestock mission actually doing, and what kind of vision or the roadmap we have in terms of developing the livestock other than cattle and buffaloes.
Thank you, Chairman sir. As rightly pointed out by our Honorable Minister, definitely you have to think of non-bovine milk. So not necessarily go for cattle and buffalo. Rather, you can go for all other species like sheep, goat, camel, equines, and others. So in that regards, I just put before you some data so that you will be enriched with the knowledge that, say, camel milk is useful for diabetes, and India has 77 million of diabetic populations. type 1 and type 2. And camel milk is considered to be useful mostly in type 1 diabetes and also in type 2. So in that regards, the requirement what we have calculated, the present availability and the requirement, it is 600 times the requirement, and camel population is declining 37%. So that is one concern where how to encourage or how policy can enrich this phenomena. So this means to stop this declining phenomena, we need to have non-bovine milk collection center. So if you have goat milk collection centers, camel milk collection center, and this responsibility can be given to the big players like Amul, Saras, Modi, Urmul, whatever, the different milk distributions or milk companies are there in India. They can be given as a CSIR responsibility, because this is ultimately going to going for the welfare of the people whose livelihood is based on those populations. So this is one way how we should have different collection center, processing, transportation and marketing. So that way at least we can reach the population who are in dire need of this type of milk, which is having some nutraceutical potential. So similarly, if you take the case of dengue, in case of dengue, the goat milk is in high demand, even 1,000 liters. But if you go to milk collection center, they are hardly 20 or 22 rupees you are selling. So farmers get 20 rupees and 1,000 rupees, 50 times. So that way, there also I just have a calculation. The population which are suffered, nearly 2 lakh dengue populations every year, 2 lakh people are suffering from dengue. And why the goat milk is preferred? Because it has less allergy. Similarly, camel milk has less allergy. So those milk can be diverted for this type of. So we should have collection center, then processing. During the time of dengue is not always, there is no outbreak of dengue throughout the year. So we can have processing, we can have milk powder, frozen milk powder. So that can be supplied during the desired time. Then coming to, if you relate these things to animal health or One Health program, then One Health program is definitely soil, animal and plant relationship. So in that way, environment is also there. In that case, the animal health is not based on only the health services. There is the important aspect of any health services is based on if animal is nutritionally sound, if animal is given enough nutrition, then only. So, and always we are crying for there is this much concentrate deficit, this much forage deficit, this much dry fodder deficit. But actually, if you calculate the resources what India has, and really we are deficit of dry fodder, we are deficit of, it is true, yes, we are deficit of concentrate, but not true, we are deficit of dry fodders. So in that way, we can have feed bank concepts, where people can come with the surplus fodder, go to the feed bank, like in any other bank, where the complete feed can be prepared and can be supplied. So this is one concept where different animal husbandry dairying, they can propagate in different levels through state and animal husbandry departments. So this is area, and there is many things to tell, but because of time limits, I am just enriching the audience with some of the idea that how we can proceed to go for One Health program, and at the same time taking care of human health through non-bovine milk availability and supply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sahu. I think capitalizing on our non-bovine population of livestock is very, very important. And you mentioned goat milk's importance and therapeutic qualities when you suffer from dengue. I suffered from very acute dengue 2 years back, and I was also advised goat milk, but believe me, I couldn't drink it. You see, we also need to process these milks in a way that it is palatable and it can be easily consumed by the human beings. Okay, now I'll come to Dr. Kelawala, VC of Kamdhenu University. Before I give the floor to him, let me tell you that he's an outstanding singer. And he could any day walk into Bollywood and start doing playback singing, apart from teaching veterinary science. Dr. Kelawala, there's a huge gap in terms of the availability of veterinary education in this country. Now, when I asked this question from Dr. Malik, he outlined the roadmap and what all the ministry is doing. But considering that we are woefully short of veterinarians, and even if we launch a massive, ambitious program today to meet this gap, how are we going to do it? We have only about 50 odd veterinary colleges in the country,
Yeah.
as against nearly 700 medical colleges in the country. Okay, 72, okay, I stand corrected. 72 against 700 medical colleges. The population of livestock, poultry combined together is the same as the human population. And now I think the time has come to debunk the 1976 recommendation of cattle heads and things like that. Now, even if you launch an ambitious program, it is going to take ages to meet this gap. Now, we cannot say, okay, till we create that infrastructure, we will not do anything. So we, as an educationist and running a university, what would you suggest should be the ideal strategy in terms of meeting this gap in the short term and in the long term, number one? And where are the gaps in terms of the quality of our veterinary education, and how do we compare with the best in the world?
Thank you, Chairman. All the eminent panelists and all the stakeholders, participants, and online and offline attending this summit. First of all, congratulations to organizers for organizing a wonderful summit on animal health. Now, coming to the question asked by Chairman, as we very well know, there are at present 72 colleges are there, and if you consider 100 intake, there will be 7,000 veterinarians coming out every year. So to meet the requirement, definitely PPP mode veterinary college should come out. But PPP mode veterinary college, what happens? They are not maintaining the standards. So at the same time, we want to have standard 0-day competence veterinarians available, so that whenever he come out, he can be able to have One Health veterinarian. Today, One Health is very important. So every time we are talking about One Health, so he should be 0-day competent One Health veterinarian required. So to meet this requirement, definitely we have to take help of our paravets, and they are taking as a middle level technician. They are not, but to having gap, to fill the gap, we can take many paraveterinarians and have first aid treatment by them, and requirement of the referral centers should be made available at district level, taluka level. But here I want to have some policy decisions to be taken for the health purpose, that ultrasonography machine is used in closed door. So when policy making is to be done with regards to health and what is the importance of health, we know only 4 diseases, what will the economic loss, as narrated by some of the speakers in the morning. So what we can do for this ultrasonography machine to be used for animals? I know we want to have 0-day, zero misuse in human beings, but we can't have ultrasonography machine at stationary ultrasound machine and we can go for diagnosis. As health is concerned, these are my first point to be taken care of. How best, of course, there are means and ways how we can take a responsibility or given responsibility to DHO, so that that machine can be travelled to within district or like that. Otherwise, it is very difficult to take use of this ultrasonography machine. And then the breeding policy that we want to go, who is going to monitor this breeding policy? That breeding policy monitoring implementation agency should be carried out. So that is that is true. But yeah, that is true. But it should be monitored. That cooperative dairies, they are taking artificial insemination, but it should be monitored very well. And as we discussed with the minister also, just like All India Institute of Medical Science, can't we have All India Institute of Veterinary Science? That we have discussed with minister also, and he principally agreed that we can start All India Institute of Veterinary Science. And we can, now what we are trying, we are increasing the intake. We have gone for 80 to 100, 100 to 120, but to beating the gap, definitely it will take long time. And to establish PPP mode, I already told, to have zero competence, it's means questionable whether they are going to impart that zero competence, but they know not. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kelawala. Thank you so much. Now, finally, Dr. Uppal, I deliberately kept you for the last because you are the most experienced of the lot. And I think now you will tell all these youngsters as to what they should be doing and what the roadmap should be.
Thank you.
Because primarily we've been talking of One Health and animal health. The stakes in very strong animal health governance system and One Health system for a country like India are much higher than other countries. Why? Because we have mixed farming systems. The Honorable Minister mentioned Pashu Palak. So every Pashu Palak is also a farmer here, and every farmer is also a Pashu Palak and a livestock breeder here. Secondly, the physical proximity between animals and human beings is very close here, unlike the Western world, etc. So our stakes in strong animal health systems, strong surveillance systems, and a very robust, effective One Health regime is very high. So Dr. Uppal, with your experience and vast knowledge, what would you suggest that the government and the government institution, public institution should be doing in terms of the policies and strategies and programs for animal health?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I must congratulate the organizers who considered session 1 on animal health policy initiatives. Now, animal health policy initiatives is very crucial for any country. I must say it should be national policy. We developed breeding policies, especially we talk of cattle breeding policy and later on we talk of pig breeding policy. It's a mammoth functioning and a great functioning. We must understand any policy which we consider for the health system, it is a wealth for the human being. Healthy man, if we have healthy man, can only be there if we have a healthy animal. And healthy animal is based on the healthy food. Therefore, it's a chain. To have that chain and to have a policy frame in this is a mammoth work. Policy frame cannot be made quickly and fastly. It needs patience, it needs thinking, thought and deliberation of scientists. Let us think one thing. We all understand that animal husbandry is a state subject, and therefore we need to have apex body between the state and the center to develop a policy. No policy can be developed in isolation and can be implemented. I cite one example only of rinderpest control, when there was an apex body to see the control program is done based on the collaboration between state and center. Unless there is a strong hold between the two, nothing can move faster for the policy decision. Now, if we think of the policy, state and center policy, I suggest apex body to be looked at so that activity should be done in that direction. Now, for policy frame, we have to think of transboundary diseases, emerging diseases, re-emerging diseases, infectious diseases, non-infectious diseases, and similarly many other diseases, metabolic disease. Now, when we talk of this, then we have productivity at our command. Better health, better productivity, better prosperity to the farmers. Therefore, we need to address these issues very effectively. In my opinion, the uniform system for the quality vaccine development, uniform system for the quality diagnostic system, robust surveillance and monitoring system should be at command, and there should be such activity which has to be looked very effectively and efficiently to reach to control zoonotic diseases or transboundary diseases or animal diseases. So I think policy frame requires a lot of thinking, planning, and programming. And one of the best thing is we look for the biosecurity system in framing a policy, because biosecurity system at farms at various levels will bring you healthy animals. So in my opinion, we must consider the policy frame first, for which a small commission could be made or a small group should be made who could effectively and efficiently think the full parameters in the health sector. That is, when we talk of the health system, we talk of first surveillance monitoring, disease diagnosis, is to think of prevention and control measures, so vaccine development, and if we even talk of the vaccine development policy frame itself, uniform policy frame, we have to go for the production level at the basic level. How it should be manufactured, what should be the standard, we only go by Drug Controller of India, yes, of course. Then in certain cases we say consult British Pharmacopoeia, sometimes we say consult. Now in India we need to see that the Animal Husbandry Department do have its say in the drug controller so that the activity and efficiency is brought. If it is not brought, even I give very simple example of the water. In certain cases, production of vaccine, if we talk of human vaccine production, when I being the managing director of BIP called DPT, we have a mammoth filtration system for water, which is in million and million rupees. But if we think of our veterinary vaccine production system, it's not necessary. So this is just one ambiguity. There are several ambiguity for preservation, conservation, and disinfectant to be used. So this is just a suggestion. So policy frame requires a big think tank for the nation, which will bring the prosperity, and the prosperity will only come when you have healthy animals. If you have healthy animals, you have healthy food. And if you have healthy food, you have healthy human beings. This is my suggestion. And environment must be kept in mind. There should be 4 pillars. When we talk of One Health, we only talk of man, animal, plant, but environment is the biggest one. And especially the wild animals need to be addressed and to be effectively and efficient to be seen, because this is crucial. I have just given borderline. I can go on speaking on the health policy, many things, just like we think of the breeding policy.
Thank you, Dr. Uppal. I think he's given a very good slogan, healthy animals mean healthy humans. And again, he emphasized what Hippocrates had said 600 BC, that environment is integral to animal and human health. So One Health started from there. And I think it's important that we all realize that One Health goes beyond slogan. Because what bothers me with my experience is that One Health is still considered to be a Ministry of Health subject and to be addressed only when there is a conference of WHO, etc., or there is a pandemic or some zoonotic disease. I think the Ministry of Animal Husbandry, Fisheries needs to play a very proactive role in that. We are already running late, but I think we can spend the next 5 minutes in taking questions or suggestions or views from the audience. First, Dr. Sunil Kumar Gulati was the first person to raise his hand. Please be brief. Okay, that's a good suggestion. I think we've been very actively working on the development of a genomic chip and the genomic selection. I think that needs to be accelerated. Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Malik, this is a good suggestion, please.
Can I respond in a minute?
You can respond, but it's not a question. It's a very, very positive suggestion. So you don't have to react to that. You can just tell him what you are doing.
Right, sir.
And then his suggestion, you accelerate your program.
Absolutely, sir. Just to inform that we are already working with NDDB in developing the genomic selection chip, and these chips for exotic animals are already available with different companies like Illumina, but for indigenous animals, both buffaloes and cattle, they are already there in pipeline. High density chip is already there, which is costly. We are getting into a low density chip so that we can actually select on the traits which are required. The only thing which we are accelerating right now is their phenotypic correlation or what we call genome-wide association of these material, these genes. So we are working on it, and we are working on very high speed. It's a welcome suggestion, sir. Thank you.
No, and one other thing is you not just work on it, ensure that the farmer it reaches the farmer, each and every farmer has access to
Absolutely,
it.
sir, that's why.
Yes, sir, you had some question or suggestion or whatever. When would we be considering? Now, first question is, should we be considering it at all? And second is, if considering, when? I don't know. I'm not a prophet. If anybody else can do this prophecy. Yeah, so. No, I think, wait, I'll put it in a slightly, with your permission, I'll just twist your question a little bit to Dr. Malik. Are you considering discouraging or discontinuing crossbreeding? First is, if the answer is yes, only then the next part will get answered.
Not in absolute terms, but then we are encouraging the upgradation of indigenous population so that productivity is enhanced. But right now, we cannot think of discouraging or maybe discontinuing the crossbreeding assets. Right now, we are talking about upgrading the purebreds, and that's where we are talking about even importing in case required from HF and Jersey also. We allow that. So it means like we are now focusing mainly on upgradation of the germplants rather than crossbreeding and improving the productivity.
So there's a positive incentive for indigenous breeds. So that's how it is working. Yes, sir.
Immediately, quickly.
Yes. Okay. Dr. Rahman wanted to say something.
Let me just inform you that the proposal to include dog under animal husbandry department through the business allocation rules is already moved. It's already under consideration with the cabinet, and we are yet to receive any response, but then we have already started talking on rabies mitigation. One world reference laboratory on rabies has already been sanctioned at Karnataka Veterinary College with the support of the department. Second thing, we are already into the process of implementing the policy that is called National Action Plan on elimination of dog-mediated rabies by 2030. So 0 by 30, we are already into implementation of this, and in that case, animal husbandry is a very important component, and the plan was released jointly by Minister of Health and Minister of Animal Husbandry at this Nirman Bhavan quite some time back, and we are working on that positively, definitely for this particular on this subject.
But I think he has highlighted a very valid point. When you talk of animal husbandry basically means economic management of economic assets. Then your focus may be cows, buffaloes, or camel, or other animals which are. But when it talk of animal health, I think dogs and cats are equally important, perhaps more important in certain areas because they are kept as pets. And let us admit that this is a area which, in terms of the awareness of the sector at the national level, we have been ignoring. Let us admit it, and we need to take it on board.
We
Yeah.
already
Sir,
Okay. Now I think we'll have to very quickly, just only two.
Sir, good
Yes, your turn will come first.
yeah, just to this thing, just I wanted to know our government India's this thing policy on qualification of paravets, because I am from the state of Maharashtra, and many paravets are working, and they are the mainly responsible for the indiscriminate use of antibiotics. So, is there any policy, is there any declared qualification by government of India to practice the...
I think the Veterinary Council of India is working on it. Dr. Umesh Sharma was here.
Sir, good evening. I'm Dr. Bhatt, working in the department as a joint commissioner and as well looking after the charge of Secretary VCI. I have got 2 points to submit. Before going to his paravet issue, your good sir raised an issue, how do you bridge the gap between the demand and availability of veterinarians with Dr. Khelawal? Here I have a submission because since the last 1.5 years we have been working how to do this, because every alternate day we have a question from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, this is the $1 million question. We cannot raise the number to 800 as in the MNC. Same time we do have our own in-house problems. Sir, I have one suggestion here. We did discuss on this. Probably it is time to government to think in a larger scale, in a standards like aims like national institutes, maybe regionally located. And if a state under college takes about 100 admissions, let this college for about 500 to 600 larger admissions, so that in a time frame, more number of candidates given me seats in these 4 or 5 regional colleges initially being supported and managed by the central government. This is what we look for, because from the private front, PPP model and all, we have been trying, but they have their own certain issues, problems, and they take a long run to set the houses. Meantime, we find educational deficiencies. Coming to this paravet issue, what Dr. Saab is telling, sir, it is fact, under 30B in VCI Act, they are not supposed to do any practices. They are allowed to the extent minor veterinary services under the supervision of a registered veterinary practitioner. This is done in our Bible. But it is true and fact that in most of the places, they come out from the recognized colleges like diploma, this, that, and all, and they claim for the doing practices and all. Probably that part of thing may be extremely difficult with the present VCI acts and the regulations and the norms. So we'll have to insist that the paraveterinarians would work under the supervision of a registered veterinary practitioner. And as far as the vaccination and AI is concerned, yeah, they do have been trained at AI training institutes, etc. And in our Government of India department programs also, their services are largely being used. Doing practice as a practitioner full-fledged, probably that is not much advisable. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Sir, I have one thing. We have been discussing about transboundarial disease, sir. And by and large, we came to know that northeastern states and some part of West Bengal, which is sharing border with Bangladesh, they have porous border and this is the source. And another thing is that, sir, as I am aware, there are many research projects and everything going on regarding these diseases. But my question is, sir, has there any policy been implemented with an holistic approach where animal health department, human health department, and I should say we should include the home department, which is mostly concerned about the check gates, or what we say the check gates or the outpost, custom office and all, where all the systems, at least these 3 systems are involved, a holistic approach. And do we have a policy where even these personnel in these check gates and security personnel are properly trained? The importance of this transboundarial disease, because every time we are saying it's a state matter and scientists are doing the research and state personnel are doing their own, but I think there is a huge communication gap here. So we need to devise a policy where this gap is addressed. Thank you, sir.
I don't know whether anybody can, okay. Dr. Malik.
Thank you very much. It's a very pertinent question, and we have been talking about this thing. In fact, during the visit of the OIE mission in 2018, I accompanied this mission at the borders, especially the Nepal borders. And there also we had similar issues of ingress of these animals without proper testing, even through the checkposts, without. So the personnel were not properly trained. We have approached the Home Ministry to actually talk about this, but frankly, we have not taken this very seriously and we have not taken this in a very effective manner, but then this is required. As far as transboundary animal disease is concerned, it's not the administrative approach we need to focus on. Probably what we need to talk about is the regional approach. As Dr. Rahman has rightly said, that it's not the border per se, it's not the checkpost per se, that the pathogens are traveling across the boundaries beyond these mechanisms. through indirect aerial routes, the sewerage, the water and other things. So like you just cannot think about, although this is also important to have those military forces to be on board, trained for these kind of things, because they have got major priorities on money, the explosives and some kind of drugs. But they are not trained for anything on animal or human diseases for that matter. Right now, at the highest level, our security agencies are talking about this thing. They have got a biosecurity group also constituted at the highest level. They have been talking about anything which is happening either on the human side or on the animal side, and these even security agencies are taking interest into it. So we are into this kind of discussion with the government, but then the transboundary animal diseases have to be tackled at a different level, and probably we need to come up with the surveillance, what Dr. VP Singh has said, the kind of unified approach, what Dr. Professor Uppal has said. So it's like a consolidated policy which can be taken up in a different manner. We can discuss it in detail over dinner, but I hope this gives you some indications about the.
Now ask him to take you for dinner.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I think, you see, one thing, as a chairman, let me have the last word. People sitting in this room, they all understand the importance of animal husbandry, animal health. You go outside the room and just go outside the campus, nobody would know anything. Nobody would give you a second look. People don't understand how critical and how important this sector is. And you and I are responsible, because we are very apologetic and very shy about talking about this sector outside. Mr. Gulati, my friend, he was Additional Chief Secretary, Haryana. He was one of the very few stupid IS officers who was willingly working in animal husbandry sector. Any officer made the Secretary of Animal Husbandry sector, he says, this is the end of the career for me. I said it in Nagpur in front of Dr. Rupala. He says, sorry, don't mind it. But even when a minister is allocated animal husbandry sector, he feels that the Prime Minister or Chief Minister has downgraded him. You have to go out and say loudly with pride that this is a very important and critical sector, sir. Veterinary science precedes any human health science. World Animal Health Organization, OIE, was established in 1924, whereas World Health Organization was established in 1948. The global community understood the need for collaboration in animal health prior to collaboration in human health. We are talking of one health today. World is moving towards one medicine. There can be one medicine for humans as well as animals. So we need to come out with innovative solutions. Sir, when you mentioned that we will not allow paravets, etc., I said, you please allow doctors also. Allow medical doctors to treat animals and allow veterinary doctors to treat. I'm not saying do it. You have to look for innovative approaches. You cannot say that, well, I need 7 lakh or 10 lakh veterinary doctors. I have only 70,000. Out of 70,000, only about 50, 60,000 are actually in active practice. So for the next 40, 50 years, I can't do anything. You see, but at the same time, we all have, anybody, all the stakeholders of this sector, we have to be immensely proud of ourselves. The kind of diversity of livestock wealth which India has, no other country in the world has. The kind of challenges and the problems we have, no other country in the world has. Still, we have done certain outstanding things as far as we're developing a genomic chip. We have this animal health information system which we have developed. Livestock census. Every 5 years we conduct livestock census. Human census is conducted manually. Livestock census was conducted digitally. Who conducted it? You did it. Your paravets did it. Or Gopal Mitra, who were just voluntary people, did it, carrying a small tablet and real-time updation and sitting in my office computer. Every 1 hour I used to check what is the status now and what was the status now. And it is not just counting the animals. The animal owner, his family, his economic status, the breed of the cow, the milking status of the cow, etc. On now 70, 80 parameters. You counted dogs also, counted stray animals also. So this is the kind of things you are doing, the kind of the digital technology applications which are coming up is immense. But only thing is, these are not visible. Number one, because our size is so huge, problems are so huge. Second is, you are also not showing them. You are just doing them and saying, oh, I am in animal husbandry. Keep your head held high and then say, and I think it's a very useful discussion. I'll again reiterate, please take this discussion in the public forum. Take it outside. And I'm going to say that also. I started with this key. I'm immensely happy that at 8:30 at night, people are sitting discussing animal health. I could have never imagined it a few years back. So you do deserve the credit for that. All whatever. And lastly, personally, I am so indebted to this sector and all of you. You see, every time in the past when I used to attend these conferences, they would say, I will invite Dr. Sridhar. I used to open my address saying, please, I am not a doctor, I am Mr. But now that I am a doctor, people have started calling me Mr. Sridhar. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I think it's getting late. Let us close the session with thanks to all of you and a special thanks to Mamta Jain and her team. And please give us...
Thank you very much indeed, sir. I would request Dr. KML Pathak, sir, to kindly do the honors of presenting a token of gratitude to our chairman, sir, of this session. Thank you, sir. And may I now request Ms. Priya from ICFA to do the honors of presenting mementos to our panelists. We begin with Dr. Praveen Malik. Dr. Habibur Rahman. Dr. B.N. Tripathi. Dr. A. Sahu. Dr. N.H. Kelawala. Dr. N.H. Kelawala, Dr. V.P. Singh. To Dr. V.P. Singh and Dr. P.K. Uppal. And ladies and gentlemen, with that we close the proceedings of day 1 of this summit, inviting all of you to join us for dinner, which is served downstairs. And we would like to inform you tomorrow the registration begins at 9 o'clock. We request all of you to be here in time for the session that begins at 10, but we have a welcome tea in the morning from 9 o'clock onwards. So please be seated 10 minutes before 10 so that we can begin the proceedings in time tomorrow, as we have a very important award presentation in the evening where the Governor of Gujarat will be gracing the occasion and will be giving away the awards. Request everybody to be in time for tomorrow so that we are not late for the Governor's session. Thank you.